I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Llewellyn, we need a reading of the closed session summary for executive session held February 13th.
The Allegheny County Board of Education met in closed session on February 13th, 2024 at 2 o'clock here at the central office. The purpose of the closed session was to consult with legal counsel, discuss a personnel matter, discuss a school security issue, and engage in administrative function. All board members were present. The topics discussed were parent complaint, assistant supervisor position, field trips to certain locations, traffic safety issue at school pickup area, and vaping in schools.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Dr. Bond?
Second.
Second by Crystal Bender. All those in favor? Consent agenda is approved. I want to briefly step out of the regular agenda and acknowledge our teacher of the year for this year was announced last night, David Buskirk from Bell Elementary. I know all our teachers work hard and do a great job. David was the one chosen to be teacher of the year for Allegany County, and congratulations to him and to everyone at Bell Elementary. So thank you. Superintendent's report.
Okay, first I want to call on the indoor track coaches to come up to recognize our state champions.
Hello again. It's been a few years since I've been here, but this is still as nerve-wracking as last time. I will say that I am a lot of times merely a facilitator of getting the kids into the meet, and I am like it falls on the head coach is like, oh, you have this athlete that did well, or these athletes, but in reality, Sarah worked tirelessly with Carter with shot put and improving him, so much of his success can be attributed not only to his hard work but to her coaching, and then the same thing with Mei Lee and her jumping from her father, as without them I couldn't do what I do. So they're phenomenal coaches, and I appreciate them. So that is most definitely helpful in having two athletes achieve what they achieved. So let me start with Mei Lee here. She entered at 4.6, and I don't know if you're familiar with high jump, but you can enter at any height that you want to. You just have to, it keeps going up, you have to keep clearing it. She entered at 4.6. And she didn't have any misses until 5.2. And at 5.2, she missed twice. You get 3 misses. And on the last attempt, she cleared it. And so she advances to the next height. And the two girls from Francis Scott Key hadn't missed at all at 5.4. And then so Mei Lee goes out and first attempt at 5.4, clears it with ease. And I jumped after she cleared that. I jumped almost as high as she did. And you could tell that the demeanor of the other two girls that just completely, like, they were drained. It was awesome. And not that I wish, sadness and ill will on other students, but I want mine to do better than the other ones. And so they didn't even come close to clearing 5.4. And with that, we had state champion number 1 of the evening. And 5.2 was her previous PR height, so she PR'd the winning jump, which was awesome. So that was great. She is a 2-sport athlete. 2 out of the 3 seasons of the year. She was doing basketball and high jump in the winter, and she's doing softball and track now. So that should be commended. And her jump was the 4th highest in the state of Maryland in indoor for the season. So that was awesome. Yeah. Would you like to say anything else about her? No. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's the first state title. She was close in outdoor. But, and another point, the girl that she beat this year in indoor was the state champion in outdoor last year. So dethroned her, and I hope that she can do so again here in May.
I do have a question, Mr. Morgan.
Yes, sir.
What was the girl with the outdoor, what was the record? What'd she win it with last year?
5'4".
5'4"?
Yeah.
So 5'4" is the mark?
She won at 5'4". Yeah.
So now you have won at 5'4" at indoor, so now we get to see what happens in the spring, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you personally, it's been exciting watching you. Last spring was the first time. Of course, I've seen you on the court, but at the track meet, you're watching everything else, and I see somebody go over a bar. I thought, I'm going down to this end. You probably saw me leaning on. I'm the old man leaning on the rail, watching her jumping. But congratulations,
Thank you.
and good luck here in the spring. Look forward to it.
I think there's a video maybe where Dad says she's got it. Like, could you all just see by her form that she was going to get it this time? Or somebody's voice. Somebody said it was yours, but like you could just tell she was going to nail it. Could you feel that, Maylee? Like you knew you had it?
It was like a good start, so I kind of knew I was going to go over it. I was hoping I was going to go over it.
The elation that she showed after she cleared the 5'4" was awesome. Like, it's really cool to see that kind of thing. And so she was super excited, and I was super excited. I bumped into the lady next to me, and when I jumped, I felt bad, but I was like, give me my space. But it was awesome. It was really cool. And then on to Carter here. I don't think anybody's had more of a successful winter season than Carter has. Every meet this year that he threw at, he increased his distance. He started off at shot put in 47, and then 47.3, and then 47.9.5, and then won states at 49.5.5, besting his previous PR in the shot at 48 feet 4 inches. And as good as he is at shot put, he's phenomenal at disc. That's his 3rd. Sarah was telling me that's his 3rd track state championship, 6th overall football, 3rd state track and field championship, and we're hoping to add 2 more here in May. Don't see why we wouldn't. But he was leading 1A the majority of the year. A kid from Western Tech had a throw at their regional meet that was actually further than what he had thrown, further than the 47.9.5. And Carter, if you know anything about him, doesn't get nervous. Just goes out, gets the job done. Doesn't matter what it is. He has ice in his veins. It keeps a level head, just like, here's what I need to do. This is the job I need to do. I'm going to go do it. And he goes out and he does it. And I'd like to say that it started back in 7th grade, right, with when you had the best English teacher ever.
The best substitute ever. That's when I first
But his throw was the 9th furthest in the state of Maryland in indoor. And like I said, the amount of, at some point during the year, there was the kid from Western Tech had a further throw. And Carter and Sarah found out about that, obviously, and the amount of work, he would go from one practice to another and back and forth, and it was just, and she was out there working with him. It was cold, it's winter, it's not pleasant, and they're out working to get better. And that's, like I said, that's stuff that I like to see. I'd like to say that I could be out there helping him, but in reality, like, I couldn't. I would have done him a disservice. So I want to thank both of these 2 individuals for being here to help with indoor.
Same question.
Did you say anything?
When in your form and when you're throwing, when you're on. Did you feel it on that throw? No. No. Okay. Yeah.
It was kind of sloppy, but I just wanted to get a better PR. But I ended up winning by like 4 feet.
Yeah.
I didn't really have much of a trail, so I just kind of had to get one out there and
Yeah.
be done.
Good. And what Coach Morgan's talking about, having watched you throughout, I'll talk a little bit about it when your wrestling coach comes up next too, but it's just even all the time. I'm watching and the play's over and you bend over and help the other teammate, or not teammate, the other team's player, you help them up, turn around and go back and get them on, just keep doing the same thing. There's no, and that's what I enjoy the most, I think, that there's a difference when you expect to be that way. There's a different feel there, right? And the opponent sees that too, so pretty special.
And not only are they phenomenal athletes, they're just phenomenal character kids. It's just, they're great kids to have on your team, and it's sad I got one more season with Carter, but I do have another year with May Lee, so.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
On behalf of ACPS, we have some plaques for you.
Good evening. See a lot of names that are associated with wrestling over the years. It's good to see it involved at the board. Biggest thing I can say about Carter is probably the hardest thing in sports is to go out there in wrestling and, you're by yourself. You don't have anybody to rely on, just yourself. And unfortunately, the other thing people see is Carter's 33 wins. They don't get to see, if we had a video in the mat room of the effort that it takes for a 285-pound person to simply go through a practice every day. 280. I remember the first time he ran as a sophomore. His freshman year was a COVID year, so he didn't get to wrestle. But his sophomore year, we were running snakes. It was a really warm day. We were like, let's go outside. He's running snakes in the stadium, and he's first. And all I could think of when I seen him running, sprinting across the last leg was, my God, how does somebody see that on a football field coming at him? I mean, he is so fast. And it's an effort of his hard work. Like, this year, he is 33-0 as a heavyweight. And that is very unusual for any weight in the state of Maryland. Wrestling's a long, grueling sport. It does not forgive mistakes. You make a mistake, you normally end up on the losing side. And this year, he's really won. I mean, not only was he a team captain, and again, we focus on his state championship, but he's got a 4.34 GPA, and he scored a 1,200 on the SAT. So to me, it emphasizes what I love about wrestling. It's like a chess match. Smart kids do very well, and it teaches them, to use your brain. You have to use just as much as your body. And Carter exemplifies that every day in practice and every day, when we go out there. And one of the things, Mr. Blank, you said about things I love is he is dominant. But, me and Coach Wirtz here, John Wirtz, we've seen kids, get, exuberant and, over the top after a win. And he does a phenomenal job of maintaining his character, even whenever he's having a tough time. And that's what made him successful this year. I think he gave up 2 takedowns the whole year and recovered from each one of them, come back and beat the kids. Just over the last 2 years, the 2 years he didn't get to wrestle last year because of an injury, but his sophomore year he went 32-9 and took second in the 1A, 2A West region as a heavyweight. Lost only to the eventual state champion in our region. And then his senior year, he went 33-0, 33 straight wins. And this year we went to the Max Horse tournament, which is a 21-team tournament. So there's 21 teams in in that tournament from Maryland, West Virginia, and Virginia. And he took first place in that. He's a two-time bi-county champion. He took first place this year in our region, which is a very difficult region. Two of the four, top four? Yeah, two of the top four place winners come from our region in his weight class. And, you know, to me, he is exemplifies what it means to be an athlete in our county, not just at Fort Hill, but, you know, good character, works hard in school, and every day comes. I can't even remember a day that he missed except to go to track meet, which we allowed him to do because he put so much effort into what he was doing. So I just want to say that this is a generational athlete. He's a winner on the mat, off the mat, and on the playing field and off the playing field.
I want to point that out too, that both athletes, our school, I want to credit Fort Hill, Fort Hill and our high schools to be able to give our students the opportunities, every opportunity that we can. Sometimes they'll miss something and be able to go to do another, and I think that's so important. You can't do everything, but everything you can do, we should be able to support that, and congratulations to you supporting him to be able to do that. Got the buds in, sitting at the match, comes your time, he takes the buds out, takes the sweats off, he goes out, he's up, and all of a sudden, boom. So that's what I've gotten to see, is you're so quick with the takedown. And I know it's not just boom. I'm not naive. I'm
It's
familiar.
a lot of boom.
Yes.
580 pounds.
But as soon as that opportunity is there, it's like bang, so quick. So tell me about your final match.
Ended in the third period. I would have lost it every time. So it's kind of a last-ditch effort to get 2 points. So he was sweaty. I was real sweaty. And I just slipped under and got a bear hug and just dropped him. Then I just kind of rode him out for the last 15 seconds.
Was he the most difficult? Was he your biggest challenge that you had all year? Or
I'd say, yeah.
I should say, I remember at Northern the year before you were hurt, but I don't recall a match other than the state championship or your run towards the state championship last year, which I didn't get to see. But he was your toughest challenge this year.
Yeah, he beat the kid I had a tough time in regionals with. He beat him in the very first round of the state tournament. So I was just kind of waiting to see him, and I got him at the last match, which is what I wanted.
Yeah. So it's the bear hug, huh?
Hey, it works.
Yeah, I'm sure when he does a bear hug, it works.
It definitely works.
No. Congratulations, Corey.
Congratulations.
Sorry.
Recognizing March as Women's History Month, Ms. Fraley?
We have a proclamation that we'd like to give to you. Whereas March 2024 has been designated Women's History Month, and whereas the Board of Education of Allegany County is honored to celebrate the impact and progress of women and girls, and whereas throughout American history, women and girls have made vital contributions, often in the face of discrimination and undue hardship, and whereas today more women not only work outside the home, but hold a wider variety of jobs, even making it to the top of the business, technology, and science field. And whereas due to the persistence of tireless work of countless women, we have made significant progress in the United States and must reflect on this extraordinary and unequal burdens that continue to bear today. And whereas we honor the accomplishment and visionary women who have helped build our country, and pay tribute to the trailblazers from the recent and distant past for envisioning a future of building a nation of endless possibilities for all women and girls. And therefore, the Board of Education of Allegany County does hereby proclaim March 2024 as Women's History Month. Women who can advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion, as well as the International Women's Day, which is Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, which is March 8th of 2024. And it's signed by Mr. Farrell, President, and Jeffrey Blank, Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Fraley. Good evening, Mr. Blank, President Farrell, members of the board. I appreciate your recognition of Women's History Month. In gratitude, I'll share with you President Jimmy Carter's message from the time when he designated National Women's History Week all the way back in 1980. From the first settlers who came to our shores, from the first American Indian families who befriended them, men and women have worked together to build this nation. Too often the women were unsung, and sometimes their contributions went unnoticed. But the achievements, leadership, courage, strength, and love of the women who built America was as vital as that of the men whose names we know so well. Thank you all so much for this recognition of the great achievements and contributions of women to our great society.
Next is the presentation of proclamation recognizing March as Youth and Art Month. Ms. Bender, I think Mr. Avery is around. Avery.
We're waiting for you.
Come on.
Okay, we have a proclamation for March 2024 for Youth Art Month. March 2024 has been designated Youth Art Month by the National Art Education Association, focusing on the theme Dream in Art. Art education contributes powerful educational benefits to all elementary, middle, and secondary students, and art develops students' creative problem-solving, critical thinking abilities, and teaches sensitivity to beauty, order, and other expressive qualities. The proclamation also mentions art giving students a deeper understanding or multicultural values and beliefs, and reinforcing and bringing to life what students learn in other subjects. So this proclamation, signed by Mr. Farrell, President of the Board of Ed, and Mr. Jeffrey Blank, Superintendent of Schools, proclaiming March 2024 as Youth Art Month, Dream and Art, presented to Mr. Jeff Avey. And you get to stay put for one more.
Thank you very much.
And don't go very far.
Push the button.
Don't miss the Student Art Show on April 15th. It's been relocated to City Place in Frostburg because there's a lot more space for a lot more quality artwork. We're doing something brand new this year. We're going to have a junior-senior art show at the Hazen Gallery at Allegany College. We've never put together a special show to showcase our older teenage artists. And so we're doing all of that for the first time this year. It's going to be a good spring.
If you've never gone before, take the opportunity to go. Believe me, you'll be overly impressed of the things the ability of our students, the talents of our students.
And for 2 years, it's been a charming display at a smaller facility, but we've needed more space, and we finally landed it this year. So very excited, making good plans.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think Dr. Bond also has a proclamation at March as Music Month, and because he's a musician.
You just got all the awards tonight. So we have a proclamation, whereas March 2024 has been designated Music in Our Schools Month by the National Association for Music Education, where the study of music contributes to the development of young people through heightened skills in listening, reading, self-expression, and creativity. The study of music is basic to a complete education and provides a competitive edge for successful educational reform while engaging students in individual and group activities, which develops creativity, problem-solving, and critical and evaluative skills. Music education helps students acquire skills in the production and performance of music, as well as gives them an understanding of history and culture. Music and other arts significantly enhance the morale and quality of the school environment, and music programs should be maintained and improved for all students regardless of their socioeconomic status or their abilities. Therefore, we, the Board of Education of Allegany County, endorses the observance of the month as an opportunity to support the purposes and practices of music education, encouraging teachers, parents, students, and all citizens to participate in Music in Our Schools months. I See Me in Music Education. Signed by Bob Farrell, President of the Board, and Mr. Jeffrey Blank, Superintendent of Schools.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Our arts program feel a warmth of support from the Board of Education, from the central office, and from so many parents. We put on 3 really good county festivals this year in front of record crowds. We're going to have our choral assessments this coming Thursday at Peeler Recital Hall at Frostburg State University. That is a public event from 9 a.m. to about noon, where every choir will get to perform and then receive a clinic from some professionals that I will hire to clinic them. And then in just under 2 weeks later, we're going to do the same thing for our bands on the 26th, also at Frostburg State. For the first time in the history of the program, there were 2 firsts this fiscal year. We did our first ever All-County Jazz Festival in November, and we're going to do our first ever adjudicated orchestra festival on April 11th. That's coming up down the road. So we're trying to expand the program and make things better for students of the arts. Today, I was out of town judging sight reading for another school system's adjudication, and I can tell you that our students are second to none. Our schools might be a little smaller right now, but our students are second to none. They're no less capable, and they're no less deserving of a robust arts education, and it's such a pleasure to go to other counties and see how they're behaving as a system with music programs and art programs, and know that we are actually on track to try to duplicate their efforts. So thank you for your support.
Mr. Avey, congratulations, and same to your staff, all of our teachers that are supporting our students in both these areas. And attending the All-County, you're right, the crowds, it was packed, and the sound from the stage is just amazing. And we also, I want to put a plug in because I'm pretty sure we have a show coming up in March. Is that right? Are you going to talk about that a little later? I'll let you do that. But anytime you see our kids, whether it's on the field, whether it's in the gym, whether it's on the track, whether it's in the auditorium or in the theater or whatever it is, our kids really are outstanding with their performances. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. And speaking of plugs, the high school musicals are going to be phenomenal, all 3 of them. So don't miss this. Okay.
Thank you.
When are they going to be? Sorry. Oh, she's going to talk about it. We're just trying to steal your thunder.
Okay, well, we got Allegany, we got Fort Hill, I don't know when Virginia is, so.
Fort Hills is next weekend. Mountain Ridges is the weekend of April 3rd, coming right off of the holiday break, and Allegany is
April 25th.
the end of April. It's the last one of the season, but they're all 3 going to be very good shows.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Blueprint Update. Dr. Wendy Main. Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be back. Although my position in this agenda is questionable after all that greatness. Wow, yeah. So Mr. Blank did ask me just to give you a brief overall position about where we are at Blueprint. So I'm just going to take a few minutes, and we are certainly available for any additional questions. But your Blueprint team is working hard behind the scenes. I think that is important for you to know. Just a quick overview of the Maryland's Blueprint overall goals and the goals that we strive to incorporate in our local plan. The first is to transform Maryland's early childhood, primary, and secondary education system to the levels of high-performing systems all over the world. And the second is to establish a career ladder system for educators composed of levels through which teachers may progress and gain certain authority, status, and compensation as they gain certain expertise. So we keep those goals in mind as we work. One thing that the blueprint has asked us to look at this year is to ensure that our local vision equals the blueprint overall vision. So it was with pleasure that we took the vision that the board generated that was published on our website, incorporated the vision of the blueprint, and then came up with an overall blueprint for ACPS vision that will guide our work. I did, just for reference, put our ACPS vision statement, which is to support all students in reaching their potential by providing a positive, safe, respectful, and engaging learning environment, combined with the blueprint overall vision, which is wordy, but it does say that we will improve the quality and equity of Maryland's education system so that all students, regardless of where they live, household income, race, ethnicity, gender, language spoken at home, disability, and any other unique characteristic, can leave high school globally competitive and prepared for success in post-secondary education, work, and life. And with that, our blueprint teams are putting before you a proposed vision that says ACPS will provide a world-class education to all students that prepares them to acquire the knowledge and skills necessary to graduate ready for post-secondary learning, prepared for a successful career, global competitiveness, and meaningful participation in society and life. Finally, just a brief overview of our timeline. So as we all know, 2021 started our blueprint journey. It's been exciting. It was at that time that that Mr. Blank asked me to coordinate our blueprint efforts. We have been working steadily since then. On March 15th of 2023, almost a year ago, we submitted our first blueprint plan for approval, and it was approved by the AIB and MSDE. That plan was basically a baseline of where we were. It talked about strategies that were in place. From there until the current time, we have teams engaging in technical assistance and instructional sessions so that we may be prepared to produce and submit our next plan. In October of 2023, we started working with a strategic facilitator that is funded by a technical assistant grant by the AIB, and he is really framing our work and helping us through ensuring that our plan is aligned to the legislation of the blueprint. By this Friday, we will submit Phase 2, Part 1, which really responds to our first plan, talks about aligning our vision and our strategies and also any challenges that we may see as we work through. The final plan for 2024 is due on May 1st, in which all of our pillar teams are responding to questions, answering really where we are and how we're going to get to our next part. The next plan is due in 2027. So after May 1st, we will wait for approval. We'll make any required additions or corrections, and then through the next 3 years, we will be working on the implementation of that plan. So that is where we are. Lots of work going on, and lots of exciting work. It is a pleasure to be at the helm to see our blueprint plan and implementation, and it's a really exciting time. So that's what I've got tonight.
Any questions? Thank you for your hard work on this. I know it takes quite a bit. Thank you. Next is Dr. Cawbaugh for the academic calendar. A virtual plan. Here we are. Are you ready for us?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Tonight we are going to request approval for the 24-25 academic school calendar. and the inclement weather virtual plan. And as you know, the academic calendar provides 180 days of instruction for students and 190 days for teachers, as well as built-in days. So creating a school calendar, as I think you all know, is a very lengthy process. The draft was created with collaboration from the instructional supervisors. It was shared with principals for their input, and revisions were made based upon those recommendations. The draft was sent to Mrs. Sloan for her review, and she also shared it with members of ACEA. Principals received the draft calendar to share with their staff, and additional input was received. Did receive a reminder from Mrs. Sloan that she felt that some of the teachers had not seen the draft, so we sent that back out through the principals. And then I shared the feedback with Mr. Blank for consideration of any further revisions. So once approval was provided, the draft calendar was sent to you in preparation for this meeting. So the academic calendar does seem to have an early start date, but the return date for teachers is the same week and on a Wednesday as we have done in the past 4 years. This year we began on Wednesday, August 16th, and next year the proposed date is Wednesday, August the 14th. The start date is optimally designed to ensure that teachers have plenty of time to cover the content and standards for ELA, math, science, and social studies before the spring MCAP assessments, which take place in early March through May. Overall, the academic calendar is very similar to this year's calendar, with a similar break for Thanksgiving and Christmas. There is a short spring Easter break proposed in the calendar that will afford families and staff the opportunity to travel if they so desire over the break. There are some necessary days for teacher and parent conferences, as well as teacher work time and professional learning. As you all know, there are many changes coming that Dr. Main just talked about with the Maryland's Blueprint for Education, which requires training and professional learning to meet the outcomes identified in the 5 pillars. Our teachers benefit from additional work time that has been provided in the calendar for planning, grading, co-planning, and collaboration with other teachers. The proposed calendar has the opening of schools for students on Wednesday, August the 21st. This year we opened on August 23rd. We have typically started the school year midweek for many years due to the following reasons. The abbreviated schedule gives an opportunity to resolve any conflicts with student schedules, transportation issues, food service issues, IT issues that may arise and will need to be quickly addressed. Then in the weekend, that gives them also a chance for additional days to resolve it. For example, this year, one school system in Maryland started the school year with frustration due to multiple issues with their district's bus system that forced a lot of students to miss school due to a lack of transportation. One major change that I did send to you in your packet is due to the requirement of Senate Bill 610. This Senate bill requires that the local school board provide virtual education days for severe weather events and that the school system incorporate built-in days within the calendar for school closures. The ACPS has built in 3 days at the end of the school year for inclement weather closures. If there are additional inclement weather days beyond those 3 built-in days, then the ACPS may use virtual education. A virtual education day must consist of 4 hours of synchronous instruction with additional asynchronous instruction. Tonight, we meet the one requirement of Senate Bill 610 by discussing this topic at the board meeting. Board members will need to vote to authorize the superintendent to provide virtual education days to students during a severe weather event. Please note that any changes to the number of built-in days will be determined by the MSDE. Presently, no guidance has been provided about a specific number of built-in days. So furthermore, the Senate bill also requires school districts to create a prolonged state of emergency plan, very much like our ACPS reopening plan that we did during COVID. This plan has specific components and will be updated every 2 years. So we are presently working on that plan, and we'll present it to the board at a later date, and the due date to MSDE is June 1st. So that concludes the presentation on the proposed academic calendar and virtual inclement weather plan.
Dr. Caldwell, would you just stand by for a minute? I
Yes, sir.
really thought that we would have folks here to discuss this, so I was going to hold the discussion on this till new business, but since you're here, let's go ahead and do it.
Okay.
And march forward. Ms. Bender, you have a motion?
I do. So we'll go ahead and make the motion, ask for a second, and then discuss. Is that what we're planning,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to amend the calendar to change the start date for teachers from August 14th to August 19th. The start date for students would then go from August 21st to August 26th. This affects 3 days that would then be tacked on to the end of the calendar, making the last day for students June 5th and the last day for teachers June 6th, without needing any built-in snow makeup days. If the 3 built-in snow makeup days are needed, the last day for students would be June 10th and June 11th for teachers. The days within the calendar would then need to be adjusted accordingly for the end of the marking periods and other dates, etc. In addition, I would like the motion to include to adjust 2 of the scheduled 3-hour delayed openings for students to full days. Those would include December 3rd, when we return from Thanksgiving break, and April 22nd, when we return from Easter break.
Thank you. I need a second on, excuse me, go ahead.
Oh, what was the second one? I'm sorry. I didn't.
December 3rd and April 22nd.
And that was to remove the 3-hour delay?
I need a second for Crystal's motion.
Second to
Second.
Crystal's motion. Oh, go ahead.
Come on.
Yes.
Lori, we got a second and a third. Okay,
If I could, I'll just take a minute.
yes.
So I understand that it's only a couple of days based off of what we've had in the last few years, but we did get, I know I got some feedback, I think most board members did. It seems that that early start date for the teachers is creeping up. And I made the motion this way to kind of extend that week, so there's kind of that one more full week for summer break. We really want people to understand, I think a lot of people missed this Senate Bill 610, that these snow makeup days were going to be required and we cannot do asynchronous days anymore. So we need people to realize that's not this board's decision. That came from the state level, and we're hoping that we're okay with 3, and we'll see once the calendar is submitted. When do you have to have the calendar submitted to them by?
Well, we typically tomorrow will make the adjustments
Okay.
and try to get that out as quickly as possible, because we have to have that for our schedule builds for the following year. So we have to have a start and end date.
So we should know soon if there's any kickback on the 3.
Well, and then MSDE will send us a due date for the report, which it has a bunch of criteria that we have to send in, and I don't have that yet.
Okay.
To-
And then,
Just to reiterate what Dr. Caldwell said earlier about the days, when you're talking about snow makeup, there are no days identified in Senate Bill 610. So if they require us to have more than 3, for example, 5, then we would add them on at the end.
At the
We
end.
won't know that yet, just to
That's
clarify.
correct.
yeah, that's some of what we want the public to realize. Touching on the 3-hour delayed openings, it seems that parents have a really hard time scheduling those. But I didn't want to take them all in this motion, because I think we need some time to work through. So I think next year, maybe a little earlier in advance, if we could talk about those a little bit with staff and see if there's any other option. But taking the 2 after the holidays and leaving the others so the teachers do have that work time.
Lori, did you have something?
I got feedback too from a few teachers, and the 3-hour delays are issues since the teachers have to be here. And also the early start time. It's my understanding that some vacations were scheduled and personal days would have to be taken. And a little bit of other feedback too, but those were the 2 main things, and it seems like that was the biggest, those 2 things were the biggest complaint.
You have anything, David? Tammy?
She just covered what I was going to say.
Could I have you repeat those days again, just because I didn't have it pinned?
So moving the start date for teachers from August 14th to August 19th. The start date for students from August 21st to August 26th. So then those 3 days go to the end of the calendar, making the last day for students June 5th and June 6th for teachers without needing the snow makeup days, assuming that we need those. That pushes it to June 10th and June 11th. Do you want me to slow down? And then the 3-hour the 3-hour delayed openings would turn into full days on December 3rd and April 22nd.
Okay, so from a discussion standpoint, turning the days into full days instead of 3-hour delayed openings, that means that the teachers won't have any work time on those 2 days. It means it would be a full school day, from what you're saying, versus, was there any thought into making it a 3-hour early dismissal instead, so that the students or the teachers would still have the time to work away from students and have that staff development time, but it be in the afternoon instead of the morning.
Yes, but with those being the return from a holiday, it didn't seem to make the most sense to send them for a half a day and then dismiss early after they just came back, which is why I thought we're kind of meeting in the middle a little bit with only taking 2, and they still have 3 that allow for that work time, plus they have the parent-teacher conference days in there and all the other staff development days. None of that is being affected. We're just putting those days at the end.
And we stayed away from the ones where they had report cards due and grades to do and all that. We left those still there. I personally have more complaints about the 3-hour late arrivals than I did. I got a lot of complaints about the calendar. Folks were upset because of vacations and what have you, that they didn't want to go back. And I thought, going back August 14th, we're going to use a lot more air conditioning and that type stuff. It's going to cost us a little more in the schools, even though they'll probably be open. It won't be to that level. I agree with moving the start date back. But I did get a lot of pushback on the 3-hour late arrivals because parents, including teachers who have children, can't seem to get childcare to get the kids to school, whereas they told me personally they preferred the 3-hour early dismissal because they could get grandparents or babysitters or whatever to pick them up in the afternoon, but trying to get them there in the morning. And sometimes what happens is, I hate to say this, especially in middle school and high school, they would leave and they were supposed to go to school at 10 o'clock or whatever, and they go back to bed, and that'd be the end of that. I'm not saying I wouldn't have done that if I was there, but that's what I'm hearing, and hopefully you'll take that into account.
The other comment I would suggest then is on February 14th, which is a Friday before President's Day. It's a 3-hour delayed opening with the supervisor work time in the morning. I would suspect that with that being the day before a holiday weekend, that may be one that could be considered to be a 3-hour early dismissal instead of a delayed opening, to allow for the ability for families that are having these issues with these delayed openings. There's a lot of them, and it seems like that is the challenge that many of them have, and if we could prevent some of that, as well as making these other ones full days, which was taking away from the teachers. But my suggestion is on the other days that are delayed opening days to look at it being early dismissal instead.
Mr. Blank, any comment on that?
No, I think our committee had made the recommendation that we've talked through, so.
Crystal?
So the one on the 14th doesn't look like it will move because of any 9-week movement, correct? That one would stay there. Like when we adjust for the 3 days, the ends of the 9 weeks will change. So the ones that are right after the end of a marking period, those will change. But the one on the 14th, that would stay no matter.
It does not look like it would change
Okay.
because of the move.
So if that one was changed to a 3-hour early dismissal instead of a 3-hour delayed opening, it doesn't affect. It's not there because of the end of a marking period work time is what I'm getting at.
No,
It's just staff development.
Correct. It just decreases the amount of
Okay.
time that supervisors can actually meet with teachers because of the lunch and the student dismissal time. So it will decrease significantly the amount of time that they would be able to meet with them.
Okay.
You'd have to amend your motion if you want to do that.
I do that or someone else?
You're going to have to
You
amend
can
it.
do it as a friendly amendment, or she can make an amendment to your motion, which requires second and a vote on the amendment.
So you want me to just make that amendment to this? So do I need to repeat this whole thing, or can I just?
You can say that I'd like to amend my motion by changing this additional day, whichever way you want to change it.
Okay. In addition to everything else I've already listed, and I have it written down if we need it, add in that Friday, February 14th would be a 3-hour early dismissal instead of a 3-hour delayed opening.
And Dr. Bond seconded the motion. He has to agree to that friendly amendment.
I agree with Crystal's friendly amendment to change the early or delayed opening to an early dismissal.
Okay.
Now the motion's been amended in that aspect, and you're back to the regular motion.
Any further discussion? We're all good? All those in favor, signify by pass. There we go.
Okay, thank
Sorry
you.
we called you all that work, Dr. Caldwell.
We'll make those changes. Thank you.
Mr. Llewellyn, consider second reading of early admission policy, JEB.
You have before you policy JEB. This is for second reading. Last meeting, you passed on the regulation and voted on the first reading of this. This is just to bring the date, the birth date, to October 15th, and bring it in compliance with MSDE regulations.
This is a second reading, so we'll pass on this reading.
That's correct.
Okay.
Motion to approve second reading of early admission policy, file JEB.
Motion by Dr. Bond,
Second.
second by Lori Lepley. All those in favor? Passed. Public comment, we have no one. Well, you don't have anything to say? Okay. So we have no response. We already voted on the academic calendar. We are going along. Okay.
Can I make a point of order?
Yes.
So there's just I think some confusion and a question on the content of the consent agenda and whether or not there was an RFP, if it made it on in time or not. So my recommendation is that you just vote on the consent agenda again. I've visually seen it. It says what it should say, but just to avoid any question, let's just go ahead. My recommendation is you go ahead, make a motion again to approve the consent agenda as it now exists.
Okay.
Motion to approve the consent agenda in its current form.
Thank you, Dr. Bond. Second.
Second.
Lori Lepley, second. All those in favor? Passed. We're,
Don't forget, you need to change the dates for the next two board meetings.
where did we do that? Down here. Okay. Sorry. We need to vote to change the next two board meeting dates for a couple of different reasons. So we're going to vote to meet an executive session and change the board meeting for the April meeting to April 2nd. And the May meeting, the proposed date will be May 7th. The May 14th, schools and offices are closed for election. The April 9th meeting, we will be moving to April 2nd because we need to finish the county budget on the 2nd. They meet, I think, on the 4th, so we need to take the budget to the county, I think, on the 4th. So that would be, we need a motion to move both of those meetings.
Motion to meet in executive session and motion to change the next two board meetings.
Thank you, Lauren. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bender. All those in favor? Okay. We're good there.
Mr. President, may I ask to be dismissed from the meeting at this time?
Absolutely, Dr.
Thank you.
Bond.
I have to travel.
Yeah.
So.
Have a good one.
Be safe.
Alex?
I
You're
have
up.
a lot. So, firstly, I recently had a meeting about a week and a half ago with the curriculum department with my school guidance counselor, Miss Abby Twig, and me, and that was via Zoom or online, virtual. So, and that was about ASL promotion and meeting about that, and they touched base on it like 6 years ago or something of that nature. But we remet it, and I think that it's a strong possibility that we could offer it. It's going to take a while. It's a lengthy process. The curriculum department doesn't meet until October, and then they'd have to establish that new program and grounds upon which it would come about. So it wouldn't be offered until the 25-26 school year. But hopefully, and soon we'll offer a survey to current students with their interest with ASL, but we haven't gotten back on that. She said that she'd email us and let us know, but she has not yet. But Miss Twig, she said that the curriculum department has a meeting soon, or they were going to talk about scheduling, that's what it was, and they were going to address ASL. So I have high hopes for that, and I know that there's a lot of interest with it, so I think that it shouldn't be an issue when it comes to student interest. But when it comes to our music programs, that's a little bit different, and I learned that it was National Music Month, so in light of that, our fine arts programs, our numbers are depleting very rapidly, and for Fort Hill at least, it's not looking like we're going to have choir or theater because our theater teacher might have to be let go because we're not going to have those programs. So hopefully when it comes to scheduling, we can reorganize that, but numbers aren't looking great when it comes to signups and whatnot. Now, Ms. Twig has notified me that hopefully there's going to be a way with scheduling that's going to be made better, but because that hasn't been approved yet, it's not for sure, and she can't let me know because I'm a student and I'm not. It's very hush-hush with the scheduling and whatnot. So numbers are pretty low, and hopefully those classes are going to run, but it's not looking great. So I just wanted to bring attention to that matter, and I do think it's a scheduling issue. And I don't know about our theater programs when it comes to the middle school levels, but maybe it starts there. Maybe that's the root of the problem, but yeah. So that's definitely been something that I've been considering and deliberating over with my fine arts teacher. So yeah, hopefully that can be made better soon. In addition to that, we had our youth summit at the Allegany College of Maryland, and where a bunch of the schools came together, and I talked about civic engagement. There were tours of the college and whatnot. So that was a good little gathering that we had, and Mr. Blank, he was also in attendance, and he got to speak. So, and I also, at Youth Summit, I met a representative from the Maryland Civic Education Coalition, and they are hosting a leadership summit, and they've enacted several policies, and I don't know if you know about them, but she wanted me to kind of bring their organization up to you all so you kind of know who they are. But it sounds like a really good organization, a lot of different programs that they hold that could be great for our students. They enacted policies, and the biggest one was just kind of opening the door as an option to allow young adults 16 and older to vote for members of the board. That would be at your discretion to offer to enact that policy yourselves, but just wanted to address that as well. At our last KCGA, I led a leadership style workshop and asked about student concerns. And the main concern was the lack of feminine products in women's bathrooms. And I can definitely attest to that because at Fort Hill, usually the dispensaries, they don't work or they don't have any tampons or pads, they're empty. So that's been a concern in the middle schools and in the high schools as well. On a lighter note, On Your Feet, Fort Hill's production will be held the 21st to the 23rd at 7 p.m. in our auditorium. So I'm very excited about that. I'm a lead in that production, so we're excited. And for the first time in a while, we'll actually be holding a little preview for our school, so that'll be good. And yes, that's all I
Could you repeat the date again?
have. The 21st through the 23rd of March at 7 p.m.
So they're all 7 p.m., 21, 22, and 23. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm sure that Mr. Blank will be looking into your.
I'm sure he will. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Board member updates. Lori?
So I think it was 2 weeks ago, I went to the open house for the Manufacturing Engineering Technology program at Western Maryland Works. And I expected that it was going to be impressive, but it was way more impressive than we anticipated. And there was this young man there, and he is going to be graduating with an associate's degree before he actually gets his diploma, his high school diploma. He followed the program, he did a little bit of extra, and that's how he's going to get the associate's degree first. But amazing facility. They have a machine there that can drill a hole through a strand of hair. So all kinds of cool toys. And I also visited Mount Savage School, and I was given a tour by Dr. Holland and Mr. Klein. And they're creating an amazing environment for their students there. And they've got chicks that are hatching in all of the classrooms, chicken coop, very large chicken coop. They have so many chicks that last year they were able to give them out to the community. And they also have pheasants. They have gardens. They're hatching emu eggs right now. I don't know if they've hatched yet. And they're doing bees. They're raising tilapia to consume for food. And they're working on a hoop house, and I can't remember the dimensions. It's very large, 50, 60 feet, I think. And an orchard, a fruit orchard is also in the works. So they've got an amazing space up there, and the kids are doing really well. And that's all.
Just to tack on to you, I was up there also.
Yes, that's why I went.
So impressed with that program up there. Dr. Holland's doing a great job. And she told me, I think Friday, Dr. Bond and I were there on another issue, but she told me she's taking a bus of students out to WVU Ag program, and they will get hands-on with the instructors and some of the stuff out there. I think taking 40-some students out, and I think that's just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
They were the ones who came in.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Crystal? Tammy?
Just to put a plug in, because my son's in the program for Allegany, so I know when it is. They're doing Bye Bye Birdie, and it is Thursday the 25th, Friday the 26th, and Saturday the 27th at 7 o'clock, all 3 days. And he's one of those roles, and I didn't know he could sing, and he apparently can sing, and he can perform, so it's an amazing thing. And the other thing I'd like to do is just shout out from the wrestling program side. I was able to be part of that wrestling at the regional level, and then watching from my sick bed at the state level. And it truly is amazing to see those kids and how they perform with each other. And like you said, Mr. Blank, when they win, they still help each other up. And Allegany High School had girls that were wrestling, and those girls all helped each other throughout the whole process. They braid each other's hair. So it's not as, it's hard when they're on the mat, but when they come off, they're best friends. So it is a great program, and it's great to see that it's flourishing. And I agree with Alex. If the fine arts program wise, I think that there is a lot that can be done at the middle school level to try to cultivate some additional interest in that. And again, only because my son's a senior and before he figured out that that's what he wanted to do. And it was something he probably could have been doing all along. So I think there's something definitely to look into. And then lastly, as I said before, I serve on the Maryland Coordinated Community Supports Commission. representing the Maryland Association of Boards of Education. They had RFPs that went out. Garrett County is actually the one that's heading up the Western Maryland one that received the grant, but it includes Allegany and Garrett County, but it's being run by the Garrett County Health Department is the awardee, if you will. And so there's some great things that will be happening with that, of getting coordinated community supports across, not within the schools, but using the community to help with that. So that is coming up, and that award was announced 3 weeks ago or so. I was able to go down to Annapolis and be part of the press conference for that, and it's going to be a great event across the entire state. Every county, or every district, I should say, every district got at least one award. So every district across the state is going to be able to have new programs for mental health and behavioral health within the schools. And that's all.
Okay. I have two quick things. Last Friday, I was privileged to ask to be a judge at an FFA contest in Clear Spring, which encompassed Allegany, Garrett, and Washington County. A couple hundred students there. I mean, it was impressive to see. The students were so professional and did such a great job. And when our teacher, Ann Stark, brought the team from Allegany County, and being their first time, they did very, very well. I think they took a first in public speaking, and they will go on to the state champions. But it was very, very impressive to see all those kids and how they worked together, and the program in Washington County it was phenomenal. And on the same note, on March 26th, the FFA program will be confirmed at Fort Hill, I think 8:30 in the morning, and then the Mountain Ridge program will be confirmed at 10 o'clock in the morning. So the state folks will be up here to do that. I plan on being there. I don't, if the other board members have it in their schedule, I'm sure it will be well worth attending. But I think that really making strides forward and seeing what, as Lori said, what goes on at Mount Savage is just phenomenal. So thank you very much. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Ms. Bender.
Second.
Ms. Lepley. All those in favor? We're out of here.